Hello friends, so welcome to this course on cloud security shared responsibility model. See, we have already gone through different service models, deployment models, and the core concepts of cloud. And after that, we'll dig into the core concepts of cloud security. And before digging further, this is a very, very important model or a concept we need to understand because in this case of cloud, we know that okay, there are different responsibilities between the cloud service provider and a customer. So, cloud security or a shared responsibility model is what we need to understand so that we should be clear that okay, for which thing we should go with the CSP and for which thing we as a customer, as an organization is responsible to implement the security. So let's study that okay, what is there in the cloud security shared responsibility model, a very important concept to understand. See, the first, if you'll see the diagram on the right hand side, so it is about the responsibility per cloud service model. So which is about the GRC, governance, risk and compliance, data security, application security. So all these things are on the left. Then we are comparing it with the different service models like IaaS, PaaS, and SaaS. So remember, these models we have already studied. Now we are studying that okay, how the security is being managed, what so who is responsible for what in case of different service models. So before digging into this diagram, let's study that okay, security and compliance is a shared responsibility between the CSP and the customer. You can see the all the areas which are red. So this is like that is for its provider is responsible. And then shared model can help retrieve the customer operational burden as CSP operate. So in this case, when we know that okay this is shared, then we can we know that okay for which responsibilities we can go ahead and we can ask the cloud service provider that okay this is what is required, or if they need some kind of help, and then this is the customer responsibility, so that tomorrow customer should not be able to blame the cloud service provider that okay this is not the responsibility. And for the portion mentioned in red, like so it is like CSP who will mention the controls to have the appropriate security. So you can see that in case of infrastructure as a security, whatever is there at the physical level means their data centers, their networking, and the protection of physical access, all those things in all the models, in case of IaaS as well, is the responsibility of the IaaS. So you need not to worry about that. If you come in infrastructure security, that is about your hypervisors and all those things. So that is a shared responsibility because why it is shared on a hypervisor, you will be building VMs and all those things. So that is a kind of a shared responsibility. And in case of platform, similarly, the infrastructure becomes the responsibility of the uh, cloud provider or a CSP. And in case of platform as a service, having a platform is a shared responsibility. Like if you'll get a RDS instance or a database, in that case, giving you a base infra where you can have your database setup is the responsibility of the CSP. But then having the proper access control onto the database, having integrating your database with the Active Directory, that is your responsibility or a shared responsibility. And similarly, if you'll see in case of SaaS, till platform, because platform and everything is given by the cloud service provider, and application is a the shared responsibility because application access control and all those things, all users like who will be having access to your, let's say, Office 365, that is the organization responsibility. Then that is why if you will see all this is which is in the yellow color, that is the shared responsibility. So just to give you a quick tip, like infrastructure is infrastructure as a service, infrastructure is a shared responsibility. Platform as a service, platform is a shared responsibility. And in case of SaaS, we get the application, application is a shared responsibility. And all the above layers which are mentioned in green, that is the customer responsibility. Like in infrastructure and security, maintaining application, everything is, yeah, you are building up the VMs and secure this building up the applications. In that is case, it is this ultimately customer responsible for that. And remember, in one thing that okay, for data security, all the models customer responsible because it is like customer who is putting data up. A customer knows that okay, what is the classification of data, how sensitive your data is. So it is the ultimate responsibility of the customer. See, you may come up with different terms like, data is stored with the CSP, data is stored within different locations. See, that is what we'll study in the contracts, that okay, you can negotiate with the cloud service provider that okay, which laws, which penalties will be applicable in case there is some data breach. But ultimately securing the data, is your responsibility, and maintaining the governance, risk and compliance, that is also the customer responsibility in all the models. So just remember guys, it is about the, when we say that okay, governance, risk and compliance, all the controls which you would require for you to implement, for you to meet with your regulation laws, the kind of data or the application they're using or the business you are in, that is ultimately the customer's responsibility. So that is very, very important concept to understand. So just to, like we discussed, another way to understand is when we say that okay, the mark which is marked in red, that is CSP specific controls that a customer fully inherits from the CSP. It is like, CSP has to do. It is, I mean, CSP has already implemented the controls and is given to customer, like physical and the environmental controls. These are basically the responsibility, mainly responsibility of the CSP, who, like CCTVs are installed or not, monitoring of the entrance at the data center is being done or not, and what, taking care of all environmental issues, what all risk to the data centers from the environment. So all those issues are the responsibility of the CSP, because in case of cloud, that is the layer CSP provide us, and then the shared responsibility or shared controls are like controls which apply to both to infrastructure and the customer layers, like configuration management. Configuration management, when we say why it is shared, because if we'll talk about the example of IaaS, so here the hypervisor's configuration, everything, which is below that layer, so all that will be done by the CSP only, and above that, the machines which you'll be building up, the VMs. So for those VMs, the configuration responsibilities of customer, and then user awareness and training, providing awareness training to employees, like CSP will provide the user awareness training, appropriate certifications to its users, and similarly, the customer who is using this will provide the awareness training. Then patching and vulnerability. Similarly, in case of example of this, in case of IaaS, it is the CSP who will do the make sure that okay, all the hypervisors and all those are updated with the latest patches, the firmwares are upgraded, and similarly, it is the responsibility of the customer that okay, all the instances which are there onto the platform, they are patched. So that is the kind of, you can say, shared controls. Then we have the customer specific controls like GRC, maintaining the data security. So if you'll see these two upper layers, that like data security and GRC in all the models, that is the responsibility of the customer only. So this is it, friends, in this video. So thank you for watching this lecture. Meet you in the next lecture.